0003, our 463rd interview overall. It's September the 25th, 2025, and we're in Madison, Mississippi to interview Dillon Allen. And first of all, thank you for allowing us to do this and for arranging the previous interview. And appreciate all your help with that.
This is the fifth one associated with the family. Back in 07,
That's true.
Videoed my grandfather, my step-grandfather, who fought the Pacific War together, not knowing each other. One was Navy, one was Army.
Yeah.
And my step-grandmother, who was supportive, here stateside. So glad to have y'all back.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And it's funny how it worked out. We were coming down for one interview in Foley, Alabama, and you just happened to contact us at the right time.
Right.
So this is perfect. And what was your rank?
So I left as a lieutenant.
Okay.
And the Navy.
Okay. Well, Lieutenant Allen, what is your full name?
So Dillon Angus Allen.
Okay.
My son's also an Angus Allen. My dad's an Angus Allen. We
okay.
Named after his uncle. There's been an Angus Allen in the family for every generation we know of since we showed up on this side of the pond. I won.
Wonder how that got started out.
I don't know. I guess they brought it over from the old country somewhere. So,
okay.
Not always a straight paternal link, but somebody in the family wins every generation.
And the Dillon, just because it's a perfect cap to that?
Dillon's also a family name, but from my maternal side. So my great-grandfather was Neil Dillon Hollingsworth.
Okay.
And he was named after the Dillon came from his mother's side of the family. So she was a Dillon surname.
Okay. Okay. Good combination.
Yeah, and there's been a couple of us on that side of the family with the Dillon name. One recently passed, and there's still a couple of us left.
Yeah.
Alive. So.
Well, that's when people do genealogy on this, that's good information to give them on that.
Well, yeah, that's kind of how we got into this thing. My stepmother, at the time that you all interacted with us, was very into genealogy, as was I, and so I've done a lot on Family Search. My wife's now DAR, and
okay.
And I haven't finished out the application, but Sons of the American Revolution.
Oh, okay.
So just gotta
so you have a connection to a revolutionary?
I do, and it turns out my wife has a lot better ones. So she's also more Mississippian than I am, which was I thought I had gotten this young lady who came out of New Mexico, and her family came out of New Mexico and Indiana and all these places, and it turns out like her ancestors were like some in the first legislature of Mississippi and in the legislature of the territory. So the Mississippian in me was crestfallen to have done all of her genealogy work. And
how is it our wives always outrank us?
always outrank me. But yeah, down in that Wiggins area, her family's well known. So
wow,
who knew?
So, Lieutenant Allen, where were you born?
So I was born here in the Jackson area, in downtown Jackson.
Okay. In hospital down
there?
there?
Yeah, just hospital. Just pretty run-of-the-mill hospital.
Not in a taxi cab or something like that?
No, there were no taxi cabs. We did have friends when we were stationed in D.C. who had their baby literally in the intersection with the hospital in sight, but they in the intersection on Duke Street. In Alexandria, had their baby at a stop. Just had to stop. Here comes the baby. It's time. So, but no, that was not me. Made it to the hospital.
That's funny. Good story. Well, by any chance was your mother there at the time?
She was, I'm told.
Okay.
I know my dad was there. He reminds me, 2:40 a.m. Yeah. He'll I think he schedules his texts on Halloween. 2:40 a.m. It hits my phone. Happy birthday.
Yeah. With my first child, I was a diseased appendage who shouldn't be near the hospital, and my other two, I was right there catching them. Yeah,
that's right. Dad and mom, both mom was there. She was almost late.
So tell me about your mom. What was her name?
Yeah, so Cora Baker, as growing up.
Okay.
She was one of three. Her sister Brenda and her brother Gerald, in reverse age order, she was the baby.
Yeah.
Her mother introduced her aunt to my grandfather's brother. So there were a pair of brothers that ended up marrying a pair of sisters. So
How about that?
Our families were very close. You know, my first cousins once removed, I always thought of as uncles and aunts. Called them, you know, Uncle Eddie, Aunt Karen, because we were just, you know, we spent a lot of time together with both grandparents being a sibling of the other. It's very Mississippi, but totally genealogically okay. And genetically okay.
So how would you describe her to folks?
She, down home, caring, like she proud.
Mm-hmm.
She taught me a lot about, you know, treating people well, taking care of people. I mean, that happened from both sides, but yeah. My parents split when I was 4, and I lived with her primarily during the week, and so just watching her, you know, she taught us to care about other people and do what we can to help and roll up your sleeves and work. And I joke around in my career, you know, I write emails and have conversations with people and hope that they care about my opinion. But and I don't weld. I can't weld. And but everybody in her side of the family like worked with their hands. So I kind of have this moment of I don't work with my hands. I can chop wood, and growing up, you know, chopping wood or whatever. But I don't do it professionally. And there's this thing that eats at me a little bit when I'm with that side of the family, because I have this like, I've had this great career, but there's still like this sense of, well, yeah, but I don't make things, you know. I just have ideas. I don't make. So,
yeah, I get that.
Yeah, so I mean, I say down home, we grew up, you know, we lived in the what was the country. It's kind of suburbia expanded. She moved further.
Sure.
Suburbia expanded. She moved further, and we thought it may have been us. You know, do we smell like why you keep moving further and further away from us? But you know, she just wants to stay out in kind of that rural fringe and close enough to town, but far enough out that you know you don't see the city lights.
So tell us about your dad.
So Dad is one of 3, also the baby. He grew up in the city limits of Jackson, and what became the city limits of Jackson, but that we like to call it fashionable Northeast Byram. So they went to high school together, and he was a year younger than Mom, but graduated a year early. So graduated at the same the same year with my mom. I would say pretty extroverted. Yeah. That seems to be genetic, and if it's not genetic, it's how it expresses itself in our family. A lot of people say that I talk a lot. I say you've never met my father, and and they think he talks a lot, and you never met my grandfather, his dad James, because it's hard to get a word in edgewise. So we love telling stories. This is I hope this story is useful for somebody sometime in the future. So.
Well, I tell you, your grandkids are going to see this and say, "Wow, look how young Grandpa was."
Wow.
That's the thing I love about doing the younger ones.
But yeah. Oh, so I didn't say his name, but George Angus. I guess I did say his name, George Angus. Yeah. So, and they were Mississippi old, but young when they had me. So 22 and 23, Dad and Mom respectively. And so now, when I was in my 40s, I was past half their age, and I look back and I'm older now than my dad was when I got married, and so I have this feeling of age and that sense of the turning as my kids are in college now and starting to think about marriage, and I'm thinking about being a grandfather. In the next 5 years there is a very non-zero chance that I'm a grandfather, which is that gets after you a little bit mentally.
Okay. Yeah,
oh yeah, sure.
Just yeah. So, do you have any brothers and sisters?
Yeah, my brother Brian. He's actually currently a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force, serving at the Pentagon. He joined in 2005. Said he wanted to go in the Navy. He's a meteorologist, and said he wanted to join the Navy, and I said no, no, you want to be in the Air Force. Because in the Navy, as a meteorologist, you get to push a tin can around for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then they decide maybe to let you go be a weather guy. But they might say, needs of the Navy, you're a surface warfare officer. In the Air Force, they'll bring you in. The colonel will probably polish your shoes as a welcome gift. It's like, in the Navy, like we build a base, we build the ships, we maintain the ships. There's barracks, there's golf courses, there's O clubs, but the focus is like we have these ships that we've got to maintain. Like an Air Force, they build the O club and the housing, and they care about their people. They build golf courses.
Yeah.
I mean, I never played at the Navy base in D.C. I played at Andrews, right, where there's three 18-hole courses around around the airfield, and if there's room left over on an air base, they'll build an airfield. But a lot of times, there's like some of them don't even have airfields. It's like, what do you do here?
You got to have some way to get to the golf course.
That's right. So anyway, he's in the Air Force and has had a great career. He's closing in on retirement, and when your brother's in 05 and about to retire, you think, wow, I'm old. So it's creeping. It's creeping.
Yeah. So did we get all the?
Oh yeah. So that's my only sibling.
Okay.
We made all kinds of trouble growing up. Good trouble. We were like the nerdy star student kids, and a little mischievous.
Yeah.
We got sent to the office when I was in 3rd grade and he was in 1st grade for tossing rocks over the road. Yeah. We were using vehicles. They were 4-lane in our 2-lane road, and we didn't quite understand why.
Yeah.
Because we were still in the country, and we were using, when a vehicle would go by, that was our trigger, so we knew we could see which rock went further. We weren't throwing it at the vehicles; we were throwing it over. Well, a bus came by, we threw our rocks over. He won that throw. Didn't hit the bus, but we got called to the office for throwing rocks at the bus. Because all the bus drivers knew us. There weren't that many buses. We were the Allen boys. They knew us. And
I can see the perception.
I told the principal, I was like, no, Miss Mayo, we weren't throwing rocks at the bus.
Yeah.
We were just using it as a trigger, and we weren't. She's like, okay, I understand, but don't throw rocks at the road anymore. So
did you grow up in the same house?
So we grew up. So when I was born, we lived in a house north of my paternal grandparents for a couple of years. But then my dad actually turned an apartment. It turned a garage at his parents' property into an apartment. And I was sitting on his shoulders for much of that project, and I said, my daddy glued our house to grandma's and granddaddy's. Yeah. Right. And so we lived there. A couple of years later, my parents split, and we moved. My mom, my brother, and I moved about 5 miles down the road. 2 miles, two and a half miles due south, 2.5 miles due east. Yeah. We moved onto the property adjacent to my great-grandparents' house. Okay. The idea of a multi-generational house was never strange to me. I thought that's what you were supposed to do. Like I recall helping like churn butter. Yeah. With my great-grandmother, and my grandparents had moved, were living in the house with them. Sometime a couple years after we moved there, that would have been 81, 82. So 2 or 3 years later, we moved. We were in a mobile home, so we moved our trailer up the road another mile towards Dad, and my grandparents had bought a house, so we lived on the back of their 5 acres, and never. I always kind of just assumed that. Well, that's how I will live on the same property with my parents and my kids, because Dad lived on the property with my grandparents that they had bought in '57. So from the time he was 2, he lived basically on that property till he was out for a couple of years in college, and then with my mom, and then back on the property. And he was there till the mid '90s, or till the mid '80s, late '80s. He left for a couple of years and then came back again and stayed there till 2014. So anyway, that very close to Dad. We were only 5 minutes away.
Yeah.
And so grew up. I mentioned, my great grandparents' side, where we actually lived. That strip of road was given to the family by the Mr. Chrysler, who was the original Mr. Chrysler, is who got the land as a land grant from the government when Mississippi, when land was being just given out. And apparently there was a farm accident that my great-great-grandfather helped Mr. Chrysler's son helped save his life. And so there's a whole section of land that got given to the family. And so it's been pieced out. Some of it's been sold off, but you can still kind of see the shape. And all the way down this road called Davis Road, there's from where Gary Road hits it all the way to the volunteer fire station is all family down one side of the road, and a couple family on the other side. And, little pieces have sold off here and there, but growing up, I had cousins for plus or minus a half mile either direction.
Yeah.
And there were a bunch of us that were born about the same time, so we were able to hop on our bikes, ride down the road, and go fishing, go do what we still just last year we were raising some chickens down there with one of our cousins, and so had a rural life 15 minutes from downtown Jackson, and so it was an interesting life growing up. I mentioned, my dad, when he did leave the property, he married my stepmother Trudy at the time, and was with her from 87 to 2013. They moved to this place called Roses Bluff. Nice neighborhood here in Jackson. It's up on this side of town on the lake, on the reservoir. And I always joked I was on the water every day. I was at the yacht club on the weekends and in the creek during the week. Which gave me an opportunity to. I think it has really helped me in my career, because I talk to welders and I talk to electricians just like I talked to my Uncle Gerald, who was a welder and electrician, right? So they're just people doing a job that I don't know how to do. And but also I can talk to the lawyers and the bankers that that I engaged with in this kind of other end of the socioeconomic spectrum. And so
I like the mix.
Yeah, it's been like I grew up with my feet on playing on both sides of the tracks, and it was and understanding what work is and how you deal with people appropriately, and it's actually been very, very beneficial for my career. So.
When you only know a certain segment of society, it becomes them and us. But when you know all segments of society, it becomes us.
Right. And there's like different things that I feel. Everybody has insecurities, whether they talk about them or not. I'm usually pretty open book, but I have different sets of insecurities depending on which group of people I'm engaging with. And I think before we started rolling, I was saying I write emails and provide my opinion. So I'm insecure with people that do work with their hands because I can't do what they do, and I truly respect it. They would laugh at me if they watched me, strike an arc and try to run a weld bead. Electrical, I'm a little better at because you just have to not kill yourself with the electricity, right?
Sure.
Don't start fires. Keep the white smoke in the white smoke box. I can do that better. But so with that group, I have this one set of insecurities, and then when I'm in the room with lawyers and bankers, and it's a different set of, I didn't go to an Ivy League school, or I don't have that training, but.
Oh, I love the variety of veterans we've come across and all the things that they've done, and I've been in $1 million mansions and the poorest houses in the world, and I see the wealth in both.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the poverty in both.
There is poverty in wealth. Different poverty.
Different kind of poverty.
Wow. Yeah, so had a blast growing up. Country boy that also happened to have to, put on a blue blazer to go to Commander's Palace in New Orleans with my dad and stepmom. Get fancy. Sometimes I think my mom intentionally hid the blue blazer because she didn't think that we didn't need to be going anywhere that we needed a blue blazer to eat. So my stepmom would have to buy us another blue blazer because we still had to have it to go where we were eating. Little things like that every time. But so growing up was fun, and I was kind of I was a nerd and a jock and all the things all together.
Childhood heroes when you were growing up. Was there somebody in the family or the community, a teacher, a coach, baseball player?
Not baseball player, not sports. I liked sports. I was a huge Mississippi State fan, like from the time I could talk.
Yeah.
But family, that was my. There was the astronaut. I wanted to be an astronaut.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be, I wanted to be a pilot. So like real life heroes, that there were astronauts that I thought was awesome. Like at the time, Sally Ride was a huge name, and it's like I want to go do that. And so I was thinking, well, how am I going to do that? Well, I can go be a pilot because I'm not going to be a physicist or a biologist that's going to go do the things. Now, I didn't know that I'd probably actually be better at being the physicist or the biologist than being the pilot at the time.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Because at the time, like my mom was a secretary, and my dad, ran the frame shop part of our art supply business, and the idea that I was going to get a degree in chemical engineering and nuclear engineering, like it just didn't. That was kind of outside of my sphere.
Yeah.
So my heroes were astronauts, and I thought the only way I was going to get there was be a jet pilot. And then Top Gun came out in '86, and so it was. That's what I want to do right there. Blind as a bat, though.
We met a Top Gun pilot in Arizona. Whoa. Yeah. He was his call sign was Pistol, and he was quite a guy. Yeah. As far as space is concerned, we have been into space. We had one of our interviews go up on Discovery in 2008.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, I had a friend whose brother was the pilot of Discovery that year. We had a pilot who, when I said, is there any kind of plane you wish you could have flown, never got around to? He'd been a test pilot with Chuck Yeager and stuff. He said, space shuttle. So I put the two together.
Put the interview of him on the space shuttle.
And he took it up in space, took a picture of it with the Earth behind, and we gave it to him afterwards.
That's awesome.
That was pretty cool. I got a nice picture on my desk on that one.
So I wanted to be an astronaut, and but my hero, I'd say, was probably my grandparents. My grandfathers spent a lot of time with both. Mm-hmm. My paternal grandfather, James, he was a storyteller and a wealth of, he was born in 1915, right? So, was around and cognizant like during the Depression. They lived in Smith County, Mississippi, so there wasn't. He always said we didn't. The joke for folks that were living rurally there, we didn't know there was much of a thing. People didn't stop eating watermelons. We're still farming watermelons. And then my maternal grandfather TC, who y'all interviewed back in 2007, he taught me to fish, and he was my outdoors grandfather. Taught me to hunt. And I never was good at deer hunting at the time. I've gotten better. I couldn't sit still. I fell asleep in the stand one time. He said, "Hey," I woke up. I had set my shotgun down on the rails of the stand and got my feet hanging off one side, my arms hanging off, so I couldn't fall out of the stand. Just fell asleep. And he starts pointing. And he's like, "Were you sleeping the whole time this deer made this scrape? Got a fresh scrape right here." I'm like, "Yes, sir." Yeah, so I did not kill my first deer until after we had moved back home to Mississippi after my naval service. So he never got to see me kill a deer, but in the woods. But he tried to get me to do it, but I was insufficiently motivated at the time. But we did fish a whole heck of a lot.
Hey, there's something about his personality. He just was so impressive, and he looked like a gentleman in a suit, and you could also see him in jeans and
Yeah,
dressed down.
I see him in his suit at church. He was like a deacon at the church growing up, and
Yeah.
but usually he was wearing a pair of like Dickies khakis but he's always wearing a button or snap down shirt. That was
Yeah.
his thing. You didn't see him in a t-shirt, right? Unless we were out if once the undershirt comes out, you're really working. But yeah, we'd go fishing. He'd be in a pair of khakis and a button down shirt. So the Papa Baker shirts a couple of them made it into my stuff, and now my sons they've stolen the Papa Baker shirts from the stash.
Yeah, we talked about him a long ways up the road.
Yeah,
What a great interview that was. A great guy he was. Yeah. So where did you go to school when you were little?
Yeah, so I went to the Byram High School. There used to be a school called Byram High School. It literally halfway in between my dad's house and my mom's house.
Yeah.
2.5 miles either direction, and that's where they had gone to school. It's where my grandparents, my maternal grandparents, had gone to school. It opened in like '29, and so my grandmother and the sister who married brothers, my Aunt Nett. Yeah. My Aunt Nett worked at the school for forever, and so like always had my great aunt worked at the school. So like when I didn't get in trouble, but if I did, she was there to get the news home quickly.
Yeah. It got home before you did.
That's right. And when I started there, it was like a 1st through 12th grade type thing. And my 3rd grade year, they'd opened the new school because it was growing, and so I went to another school for 3rd grade, and then I came right back to 4th. So 1st through 2nd, and then 4th through 10th, and actually I left after 10th grade. I went to the Mississippi School for Math and Science, which is a state. It's a public school that the state runs, and about 120 people get in per year. Wow. And it's where we hired our real nerds. So they put me away in the nerd school. It's a boarding school. At the time it was free, and I didn't even want to apply because I wanted to stay home. Like I was from Byram. That's where I. But my stepmother encouraged. She said, "Look, you don't have to go, but apply. Like just try, see what happens." And I think she understood the perspective that my dad and my mom didn't have. Maybe just because they were happy with life as it was, and but she said, you can do anything you want to do if you really put your mind to it and put effort to it. You can go all kinds of places and do all kinds of things that you may not even think of now. So just apply. So I applied, got in. It's like, oh gosh, well now I gotta leave. So I left home. I was 16 when I left home in '94. But it was before my 17th birthday, and I spent my last 2 years at high school off. It was kind of like college. It was on the campus of the Mississippi University for Women, and our teachers were former college professors and PhDs, and so it was a real amazing experience. In fact, one of my classmates just got announced. He was coming off of his tour as the CO of the USS Stout. And he just got announced as one of the Admiral Stockdale Leadership Award winners for this year in the Navy. And of the 9 finalists, he and one other person from our school were 2 of the 9 finalists. So like it's just a crazy group of people that you meet that are, and it changes our stars, right? So coming out of Byram, it was, most folks, a lot of folks just graduated and went and got a job. Mm-hmm. Some folks went to community college like Hines or Holmes. I didn't even know there was a Holmes because everybody went to Hines where we were. And it was a big deal. There was a very small handful of people that would go to like Mississippi State or Ole Miss or Southern. Like very small handful. Out of the few hundred people per class, 5 to 10 would go to each one of the universities. So real small percentage would go to college. And then MSMS, flip that script where it's like, well, are you going to stay in state or are you going to go to like Yale
Yeah.
or MIT. You know, I got into Yale. I got into Princeton. Sorry, I was like New Jersey. My brain. But Princeton. Yeah, I got in. And
Yeah.
you tell me at Byram in 10th grade that I might go to Yale.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
what? But it snows too much up there, and not really my people, you know. And I almost went to Alabama, which I can't believe I thought about doing that for real. But yeah, no, I mean they had a marine biology program, which I thought I wanted to do for a little bit. But they weren't going to give me enough money to even cover a full ride. But Mississippi State was willing to give me a full ride. Plus, I was going to make a couple of grand a year.
Yeah.
Like 10 grand a year on top of a full ride, which, you know, in the mid 90s, 10 grand cash was you know, plenty to pay all the bills, right?
Oh, yeah.
You could, have a place to live, pay for a little beer, pay for a lot of beer. So it made it, and so I came all the way back full circle to going to the school that I had always thought I was going to go to when I went to college. So I started. I was gonna go pre-med. By the time I got to college, I was like, I'm gonna be a doctor, and so I'm gonna be pre-med. And we're going through some kind of orientation, and they're like, you know, we get X percent of our pre-med students in over the last 10 years into UMC, the University of Mississippi Medical Center. Yeah. And then the engineering folks were like, yeah, we get 89 or 92, whatever the number was. And the chemical engineering school said, we've got 100% over the last X years. I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to be a chemical engineer.
That sounds good.
And then as it turns out, I liked, you know, pumps and valves and making gasoline and whiskey, you know, better than I felt like my bedside manner was appropriate for medical school. So I shifted and said, okay, I'm going to go do this engineering stuff. And
New Jersey's a foreign country.
It is. It is. I've been there. I was very frustrated when I was not allowed to pump my own gas. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pump my gas. But yeah, then the Navy got a hold of me halfway through my college career, and that's when life shifted and went from there. So.
Navy got a hold of you. What?
So I'd always wanted. So I almost went to. Oh, the other place I almost went to was the Air Force Academy. Naval Academy. I went to the Air Force Academy for a summer program, and one of the guys one of the first classes there who was responsible for our little group. After the week, he's like, "Hey, man, you seem a lot like me, and I'm not telling you what to do, but if I had it to do over again, I'm very proud of what I've done, but." I would go to regular college and enjoy that experience. He used a few different, more colorful words, but I would enjoy the hell out of that experience, and then go get a commission. It's like if you want to be an admiral, go to the academy. But if you just want to go be in the Navy and it's not important to you that you become a flag officer, just go enjoy college, and then do 3 months of hell instead of 4 years of it.
Sure.
So I thought about that, and I actually had to like communicate back to Senator Cochran's office about not going to take that appointment, and I was already well down the process of going to Naval Academy, and had to back that up. So,
do you regret that in any way?
No, not at all.
No,
it was
choice.
Well, yeah, I mean, I convinced my wife to marry me. Because I would not have met her. You know, life totally changes. I might have stayed in for a career, might not have gotten injured and had the career I ended up with. So yeah, not at all. Don't regret it all. Okay. Choices have consequences, and some of those are good consequences.
Yeah.
And it looks. Do we need to to change a tape?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. You're getting jumpy over there, so I was making sure.
I try to stay ahead of it.
All right.
Yeah. We may do all this in half a tape. So when did you go into the Navy?
So I joined. So the point is, I wanted to be in the military. Again, okay. I had this view that I wanted to be an astronaut. I wanted to be a pilot. I had a -6 1/4 and a -6.5 prescription, and back then you couldn't get the surgery and then also be a pilot.
Right.
So pilot was out. but I'd always wanted to be in the military. And you get as a young man in the 90s, you get the postcard from the Army that says, hey, join the Army, and we're going to give you a gray T-shirt that says Army across the front. What they don't tell you is you're going to get to wake up at 5 a.m. and run in it and sweat in it every day. And then later they added the beautiful little reflecty glass things that they still wear in the Army. Like, do y'all wear that in combat? I mean,
Yeah.
if combat happens on base, then yep, we will, because you got to wear this on base. It's like, that kind of defeats the purpose of the camouflage. Yeah. But, hey, Army strong, Navy smart. That's the joke. But you get these postcards. I always read them, see what the deal is, toss it. Like, hey, look, I'm in my college career. At this point, I'm not going to drop out and go enlist. Like, it's not my thing. But I got this thing from the Navy. It said, hey, join the Navy. You'll be active duty for the rest of your college career. We'll pay you a bonus, a signing bonus plus active duty pay, and at the end you'll go to OCS, and then you'll go drive submarines or aircraft carriers. You pick.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, well, this is not a gray T-shirt. Our T-shirts are yellow. Our T-shirts are gold. But I said, okay, I'm interested. So I made the call, talked to the recruiter, and the process, it's called Nuclear Power Officer Candidate Program. It still exists. The bonus is a lot higher. The bonus now is almost as much as my entire pay over 2 years plus the bonus was then. It's just crazy. Yeah. But, inflation matters. Yes, I made the call, talked to the recruiter. The recruiter was down in Montgomery, Alabama, and he got me in the program. And went to MEPS, got like, hey, can you are you good to go to do this? Yeah. And then the next step was I had to go interview with folks at a place called Naval Reactors. It's the headquarters of the nuclear Navy, and you interview with a couple people there, and then you interview with the admiral, the 4-star admiral in charge of the nuclear Navy. He interviews every person going in. So I went up, did my 2 interviews with the people that were kind of the screeners. Apparently I did okay because I didn't have 3. You got to do best 2 out of 3 to get to the admiral. If you get 2 no's, you don't go. If you get 2 yeses, you go. And I didn't have to do a 3rd, so I did okay.
Good.
Went in, had a great interview with the admiral, and it was on track to be a submarine officer. So that was June of 1998. Joined the Navy. So June 19th.
So what do you think of being in submarines?
Well, I thought it was going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was going to be awesome, and so I was pretty stoked. I was kind of looking at boomers, the strategic missile submarines, SSBNs, because I at the time I was like maybe I didn't have to decide at the time, but thinking that'd be easier on family life. You kind of go out for 3 months, but then you're home for 3 months and can kind of have some time with family, to the extent that it's a little more predictable than fast attack. But you're all gone for a while. But, so I thought that was going to be awesome. I was going to drive submarines, and that was cool too. Hunt for Red October. There were plenty of things that made that seem like it was going to be a pretty awesome path. All right, so I think we were talking about my journey into the Navy. So joined in June of '98. Had one of the worst months ever. Pretty shortly thereafter, actually, it was July 5th. I went back to Starkville. I was in summer school. Went back to Starkville on July the 5th, and a guy came over. He was a friend. He was a friend of the ex-boyfriend of a girl I was dating, but we had hung out. Like, I thought everything was cool, and I was standing there with my hands in my pockets and caught a right cross with a pair of brass knuckles and just snapped my jaw.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hadn't put that on the VA disability claim yet, but
wow.
It happened during my active service. So I thought that was like the worst thing that could happen. I mean, just snapped my jaw.
Wow.
Like the Predator. It was like opposable. But 2 weeks later, a week later, my cousin Jeremy, one of the cousins out of the sisters and brothers union, so he was a second cousin legally. Yeah. All two up, two down, second cousin. But he was like a first cousin. Like we we spent a lot of time together and had a lot of good and bad stories. But anyway, he was working for the power company as a contractor and touched a truck that he became the ground. So it shocked him, it threw him, he hit his head on the trailer, shocked him again, got shocked a couple times on the way down and didn't die, but was basically gone. And so then his father, Eddie, Uncle Eddie, also worked for the power company at the time, but in-house working for the power company, and had to make the call to cut him loose and let him go. So that all of a sudden, now that's the worst thing that could happen. And then 2 weeks later, the tail end of this 3 weeks after my jaw break, I was actually with a bunch of friends, and my jaw, it's together, but it's like, I basically like have braces at this point with the rubber bands and stuff. We're over at some friends' houses. We wake up the next morning and like I called my mom and she's like, I'm so glad to hear from you, that you're okay. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is kind of before, cell phones were a thing, but it was still pretty new. Like you had to count your minutes, and you didn't keep it on. And it's not like sitting over there waiting on you. It's a thing that you use for emergencies, and you don't expect to get called on it. So it was I had a bag phone back in the day, and it was sitting in my car. It wasn't near me, but so I talked to my mom from a landline, and as it turns out, so my roommate from high school, who had gone off to University of Texas, but I convinced him to come back to Mississippi State with me, had died in a car accident the night before, and they thought I was with him. They knew I was with him for part of the time. So now I've got my jaw broken. Then my cousin Jeremy died, and then within the span of 3 weeks, 4 weeks from the time I got my jaw broken, from July 5th to July 27th, these three kind of tragedies, and I'd been living kind of wild up until then. Like I was having a lot of fun, partying really hard, and that kind of shocked my system, and I turned around a lot, got refocused. Then luckily enough, that was the summer '98. I joined the Navy. Yeah. Within a month, and within a month and 10 days, I joined the Navy, broke my jaw, and lost two of the closest people in my life.
Life will humble you.
Yeah, it did. It was humbling. So from there, while I was at Mississippi State, and my kids, if they're watching, will laugh at this because I've gotten at least 40 minutes into this discussion without mentioning I was a cheerleader at Mississippi State. They always joke, that comes out in the first 30 to 45 seconds. So that's a great story. It goes back to Aunt Net at Byram and my dad. So I played football in 7th, 8th, 9th grade. I'd never been a football player, and before that, like Pee Wee football didn't do that. I was real big. I've grown about 2 inches since I was in 7th grade. I was a very large 7th grader. They're like, I was an offensive lineman. I'm not that size anymore. But I was really good. Played the whole game. Basically played both ways. Played the whole game. Started, and at the end of the 9th grade year, I got pulled up to varsity. Played with high school, and I was like, okay, these are men, and I'm a boy. This is not the sport I need to be playing as an offensive lineman. Like, that's not me. Yeah. I'm not an offensive lineman. I might be able to hold my own as a defensive back in high school, but I'm not going to college for this.
Yeah.
So I was like, I think I'm done. And my girlfriend at the time was like, hey, why don't you come be a cheerleader with us? I'm like, okay, cool. Cool. So I did this, I'm in driver's ed that next spring, 9th grade, and it's time to sign up. I'm supposed to be on the varsity high school football team. And the coach is like, Alan, why are you not playing football? Why'd you not sign up? Let's get you signed up. I was like, oh, coach, I thought I told you I'm gonna be a cheerleader. He's like, you what? They come to the office. We're calling your daddy. I was like, okay. So we rolled up to the office, rolled into Coach Hannon, who's the principal, and my Aunt Net just sees me like, and I'm like, I'm not in trouble. And, you know, she's giving me the eye like, what did you do? Because he didn't have me by the ear, but he had me virtually by the ear. You know, we're going.
Oh, yeah.
So we called my dad. I'm standing up there, and he's sitting on Coach's desk. Coach Hannon's there. So, yeah, Mr. Allen says, Coach Hannon and Coach Virgil down at the school. You know, my dad's like, is everything okay? I said, well, yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. We just want to talk to you a minute. Do you know your son wants to be a cheerleader? And my dad on the other end of the line is like, really? I said, yes, sir. And he said, that's great. And both of these men just like all of the blood fell from their face. They did not know how to comprehend what they had just heard. And like, you know, I'm willing to help somebody, but if you're trying to hang me out to dry, I'm not going to help you that much.
Yeah, sure.
So I failed to mention that my father was also a cheerleader at Mississippi State.
Oh, okay.
I'm just following Dad's footsteps here. Like, he's probably the proudest moment of his life to date at that moment. Like, yeah, outstanding. My kid's going to do what I do.
I wasn't expecting that.
Right. Neither was Coach Virgil. So I let him kind of walk into that one. But the point is, I was a cheerleader. And so fall of 98, we were having a great season. We went 8-0 before we lost our first game. So it was just electric. On the field, you're seeing that, like, that was the season, right? And Thanksgiving night, we played Ole Miss we'd lost 2 games, so now we're 8-2. But this game, like, if we win this game, we're going to the SEC championship. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And it was in Oxford, and so we cheered at the end of the game. We were staying with the Ole Miss cheerleader at some of the Ole Miss cheerleaders' houses. You know, we're this heated rivalry, but I mean, come on, we're all from Mississippi. We hang out. We know each other. We went to high school with each other. So we were staying with this Ole Miss cheerleaders' house, and these 2 young ladies and a former fraternity brother of mine roll up. They said, "Hey, we heard there was a party here." I said, "Nope, it's not here. We're actually going to a bonfire down Highway 6." And one of them was, I don't want to really go. I mean, me either. But one of them, who I'd known since literally the week before I started college, because she was dating an active in the fraternity.
Yeah.
She said, I'd like to go. I was like, I will make sure you get home safe. And so she went out there with us. I got her home. We talked a while, and eventually she said, "So you're going to kiss me or not?" And so I said, "Well, absolutely." And so
women in this family are pretty direct.
They are, aren't they?
They got to be to deal with us. You can't. But yeah, so it was her birthday, and so that's when my wife Elizabeth and I, of 25 years this year, started dating. Was Egg Bowl, because I was a cheerleader.
Yeah.
Because I decided football's not for me. I'm going to go be a cheerleader. I'm going to cheer at Mississippi State. And I knew she was a genius because she's from Oxford, and I found her in Starkville at Mississippi State. So that's how I did. But yeah, no, we were friends for years. Had played pool together, knew each other, saw each other on campus all the time, and ended up we dated 6 months, and I pretty quickly knew I wanted to marry her. So proposed to her that following spring. And,
Okay.
Yeah.
Fancy proposal, or just, hey, you want to get married?
I'd say fancy. I bought the rock, got the ring, got her ring size from her roommate, and her roommate, best friend, not her roommate, her best friend. So the best friend was in on it and knew that it was happening, but she had no idea. I was taking her sailing in the Virgin Islands, and we were going with my brother and his girlfriend, and me and my girlfriend and my dad and stepmom. So 6 of us on a 50-foot boat going sailing. And so you got to go through customs, and so I'm like, I had my dad carry the ring in case I got stopped and had to search stuff, so the ring doesn't come out in front of her. Like, it's super secret.
Yeah.
But my dad, the package is secure. And I'm like, Dad, stop talking about weird packages in customs. Like, chill. Right?
Yeah.
Like, relax. But anyway, we got it down there. Had to get this whole thing of like, I was trying to get her up on top of this little island called Marina Key for sunset. And she was like, why isn't the whole family coming? And it was a whole thing because she's still like totally in the dark.
Yeah.
But I get her up there. We're having a bushwhacker together, two bushwhackers. And I found this little white petal flower back behind her, and I pulled it. I was like, look at this. Handed it to her to distract her. Whipped out the ring, dropped down on one knee. Said, and it was just straightforward. Will you marry me? As sun setting behind Tortola, like it's a postcard. She looks at it, and she looks at me. She tilts her head. She's like, "Is that real?"
Oh man!
So I'm like, yes. And then there was just silence, and I'm like, is that a yes, or are you swimming home, or?
I don't know. Let me check the jeweler first.
Yeah. So anyway, So she said yes, and then she got freaked out because my stepmother was giving her. She just jabbing at her a little bit.
Yeah.
She's like, the barracuda really like shiny things. So now she's all worried because she's got this rock on her hand, and she's worried about the barracuda eating her fingers off. She's not a water person. Loved her, but loved that she loved it, but she was like, I'm not getting in the water with this on my hands. Yeah, and that was 99. So
that's pretty good.
26 years ago this year, but
yeah,
we've been dating. We've been engaged 1 year and 1 day longer than we've been married. So
that's quite a story.
Quite a story.
Yeah, I proposed to my current wife in a cemetery at 9:30 at night.
Yeah, that's.
But there's a story there.
She's German and Irish. I don't want to be in a
Yeah.
in a cemetery with her unless I have to. I might stay there. It depends on how stupid I was that day.
Oh man! Wow.
So we were engaged for right at a year. My senior year in college, she'd gone off to graduate school down in Hattiesburg to Southern Miss. Graduated the next week, got married, and then I moved in with her down in Hattiesburg for 6 weeks, and then I was off to OCS, and the start of my real Navy career.
That covered quite a whirlwind there.
Yeah, I had to run. I was never a runner, and so I had to really. That's basically all I did was I tried to get ready for the PRT because I was very unsuccessful at doing anything more than the minimum run. I could push up all day. As a cheerleader, like I had no issue with my upper body. I could do sit-ups all day, but never could I ever get more than about 30 seconds ahead of the minimum standard for running. I've got short little legs. When I get in my wife's vehicle, I have to so that I can reach the pedals. Now I also have to move the seat down. I have a very long torso and short legs. So whatever tribe I came from, we were really good at picking up heavy stuff, and we probably guarded the camp from animals because if I need to chase it down, if it gets past a quarter mile, it can live till tomorrow. I will catch it tomorrow. I'm not the runner. So anyway, I ran a lot in Hattiesburg trying to get ready, and went off to OCS. And
well, it's just before you get too far.
Sure.
Do you have any children?
We do have children. Not then though. We waited a little bit. So I have two that were born when we were still in DC, and then our third child was born here. So the eldest is Aiden Angus Allen, and the middle one's Robert Cole, and then our baby is Lily Price Lily Price Allen, and so they're doing wild and crazy things. The two boys are off in college right now, and the oldest joined Navy ROTC this past spring semester.
Yeah.
2-hour surprise, and wants to be an explosive ordnance disposal officer. He went he went in and had to fill out his choice list. He's like, EOD, number 2 aviation,
Yeah.
number 3 naval reactors, and the people at the unit are like, where'd you get that? It's like, that's really hard to get into. Like, EOD is really hard to get into. You got to be like number 1 in your class. Naval reactors is almost as they just don't take that many people every year. Like, from ROTC, like, how are you? See, my dad did it. So he's like, I mean, what do you mean it's hard? That guy did it, and I lived with him. So if he can do it, I can do it. Yeah, and then Cole, it's like he's going to the construction industry, so that's more. I always say Aiden is like 20-year-old me at 20, and Cole is like 40-year-old me. And
Yeah.
he's, and then Lily Price is the one still at the house, and trying to just keep the extent of time to which she doesn't think we're dummies as long as possible into her teen years. She's 14 and still talks to us, and still talks to us, and we're having a good time learning to. Well, we're driving around a lot more because we don't have teen drivers to drive Lily Price on errands, and B, it's just we have a lot more time to just hang out, and so getting to be friends with each other, Elizabeth and I, because it's not always we've got 3 different kid activities all scheduled out. It's like, hey, let's remember why we liked each other and spend more time focused on that, because we, 4 years, it's you and me, babe. I guess that's it. And so, it's been interesting and fun. Yeah. So, let's see, where are we? Oh, so married, go off to OCS.
And you're going off for the real Navy.
Going off the real Navy. Made it a week into training. Well, 6 days into training. We were still under a black flag because it was so hot in Pensacola. OCS had moved down to Pensacola for the time.
Okay.
And it was still like super hot, humid, and they have these wet bulb temperatures where, like, hey, if it's this much, you have to have been acclimated in X days before you can work out in this temperature. Okay. So we could work out in the morning first thing, but in the middle of the day, it was like too hot, so it was black flag, and so they would bring us inside, and we would just work. We would, stand there and polish our brass with the sock. Without, and they wouldn't let you use Brasso. You're just like straight up, just friction. It's an impossible task to get it. It's doable, but it's not doable easy, and they know that, right? And they're hitting you on all your trivia that you're supposed to know, and so they're just it's Hell Week, right? They're just messing with you, breaking you down. Anyway, at some point in the exercises, there's sweat everywhere on this nice government Formica floor, and my left knee, something happened to it, and so it felt like I had a 1/4-inch bolt in there every time I stepped, and so I went med down like basically the day 7th day. I didn't go med down until after, so I got to put on my khakis instead of having to wear the green poopy suit pants and a white t-shirt my whole time there. But I remember I got to put on my khakis. It's kind of like the last thing I did, and then I went to sick call, and I was hurting, and they thought I was faking it because they did a bunch of stuff. Like, okay, it's not a meniscus, it's not an ACL, it's nothing we normally get and nothing we normally see. And so this Navy captain finally kind of looks at me at Naval Hospital Pensacola and says, I think we're going to have to operate. Like, we can't figure out what this is. We're going to have to do a scope to see what's in there. And I'm like, sir, can we do that today? Like, is that now?
Yeah.
Like, let's get your knife. Let's go.
Wow.
So we scheduled it, and turns out one of the bones, something in the lower part of my leg, impacted the outside edge of my femur, kind of where it's called the condyle. It's like the shiny, slick edge end of a chicken bone. That's the condyle. So it gashed out part of that condyle on a little flicker of it, and that was getting caught in my knee. So it really was something like getting caught in my knee. And so they cut that off, sanded it down, and they're like, you're going to be out for a while. And eventually, like, we had to get a second opinion because I was just kind of in limbo.
Yeah.
So we got a second opinion from a orthopedic surgeon here, and they're like, yeah, you're not going to be able to do deep knee bends for years, if at all. Basically, not qualified to do things like to climb ladders and do stuff on as part of your job that's not in your future. So they were like, all right, well, you're going to go home, and I'm like, well, but I wanted to be in the Navy.
Yeah.
So I've talked to my recruiter, my original recruiter, figured out, hey, there's these other paths for nuclear work. Teach at nuclear power school, or be an instructor there, or try out for this naval reactors thing. And I was like, yeah, I'm interested in both of those. And so you have to go re-interview. And and it turns out there was only an instructor billet open when I was going through. So they were like, okay, well, I'll go do that, yes. Yeah. So I showed up, I do my 2 interviews, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And I'm standing in line to go interview with the admiral, and I'm the next person in, and the Navy captain that ran kind of our personnel branch, Shelley. Shelley. Don't remember Shelley's last name, but Captain Shelley. She pulls me out of line, says, come with me. I'm like, well, what happened? She's like, you have a 3rd interview. I was like, well, wait, that's bad. I thought I did good. And she's like, oh, you haven't heard. I'm like, what? She's like, oh, you're interviewing for naval reactors. And I'm like, okay. So I didn't know there. I was like, I didn't think there was a billet. She said, well, your first interviewer recommended you for naval reactors, because what he said in the thing, he's like, I'm looking at your transcript. You could teach almost all the classes at power school already. Like, you're going to be bored. Like, there's going to be 1 or 2 classes, the nuclear stuff, that's just going to be new to you. But other than that, it's all like you've done all this. You're going to not be challenged. Do you want to work here? I was like, I'd love to, but they said there. So he called and asked, and I just didn't know there was a 3rd interview. So I did the 3rd interview, went back. Now it's time to go into the admiral for real, and I went in. It's the same admiral that I'd interviewed with in 1998. So but this time I've been in OCS for 6 months, and I am squared away. Like I'm locked on. I'm sitting in front of a 4-star admiral. I'm used to like being squared away in front of a gunnery sergeant. All right, so this is the thing. And the admiral says, so Mr. Allen, you've been here before, correct? I said, yes, sir. And he said, you wanted to be a submariner? I said, yes, sir. He said, and you came here today to be an instructor at nuclear power school? I said, yes, sir. He said, and while you were here, you have decided that you would like to work for me at naval reactors? And I said, yes, sir. He's like, and you want me to hire you to make decisions? And I said, well, sir, and he just held up his hand like, just stop. And I'm like, just as tight as I can be. And he just let it pregnant pause for a minute. Not a whole minute. It felt like 3 hours to me. It was seconds, And he's like, he's like, I know your story. It's like, do you want to work here, or do you want to live in Charleston? And I was like, sir, I'd like to work for you here. So he said, welcome to the team. And so that was it. So instead of driving submarines, because I hurt my knee, I ended up going to this cool place called Naval Reactors, where I never operated a reactor. I wrote letters, and I provided my opinion, and that's become kind of a thing in the career. So went back to Pensacola. Have to wait around, get the orders. The orders come in. Went home for Christmas, New Year's. Everybody got sick. They got horrible flu, so bad that nobody can come to my commissioning. My wife and I are the only 2 that we drive down there. We're both sick, and we stay in the Navy Lodge the night before. I'm gonna get commissioned on New Year's Day, and New Year's Day of '01, and we wake up and she's like, I can't go. I'm like, it's okay. It's all right. So she's so sick. It's flu, right? She's just so sick. So anyway, I rolled in by myself. I was like, we all have flu, sir. And it's like, all right, well, we're going to do this from a distance, and if you don't mind, I'm not shaking your hand. So nobody came, and I didn't even get a handshake from the gunny or the chief, or I got a first salute, but that's about all I got. It was like in the office, there was no pomp, no circumstance, but I didn't care. I'd been there 6 months. I was ready to get the hell out of Pensacola. It took me a while to want to go to Pensacola again. And I love going down there now. It's great. It's great memories now that, but at the time I was in a very dark place because I was just in this limbo of what's the Navy going to do? Like, when can I leave?
Yeah.
When I age out? Because we had one of my classmates went med down, and he was going to turn 35 the week after he commissioned. And he got sick, and he pushed 2 weeks, a week past his 35th birthday.
Yeah.
And so he just went home. Like, they're like, we can't commission you. Sorry. 35's the limit.
Wow.
Great knowing you. I hope you enjoyed the PT. Right, so I'm sitting there thinking, like, they can't figure out what they're going to do with me. There's no clear path. I'm not going to go to a ship. Like, what are they going to do with me? Anyway, the naval reactor thing was the best thing that ever. That injury to my knee, best thing that ever happened. Professionally. I've met a lot of submariners. Got a lot of friends that are submariners, and operators on aircraft carriers. Not my thing. Like, the routine of it. I like the novelty. I like novelty and new and different, and trying to figure out how to solve problems. Yeah. And their whole life is like avoid problems. I mean, fix them quickly. Right? If there's a casualty, fix them quickly. Right. And hopefully, the guys at Naval Reactors wrote a good reactor plant manual, or at least took feedback from the fleet to fix it. But the idea is it's pretty routine, right? Yeah. You have a thing, and it's just not my style. So landed in the one place that wouldn't get me court-martialed in the Navy, where asking why every 5 minutes is the best thing. Ask why. Never take. That's how we've always done it as a reason. Go read why we've always done it. Maybe we did try something else. Yeah. And it's like, oh, well, this is actually a better way. This is the best mousetrap, and you got to prove if it's not. And so it really set me up for the later part of my career. And you get a lot of responsibility at naval reactors. I mean, you're 22. Well, I was a little bit older because of the delay. And by the time you go to this reactor engineering school in Pittsburgh, so you basically live in DC for 6 months to a year while they start teaching you about the fluid systems and the electrical systems of the kind of current fleet boats. And then you go off to Bettis Reactor Engineering School in Pittsburgh. So my wife and I were living in Alexandria for about a year, and then and she was working for a lobbying firm, like the Association of Advertisers. And we moved to Pittsburgh, and she's like, I'm just going to do charity work for Catholic Charities while we were there in Pittsburgh. And every day, like, we kind of had this stay-at-home experience where we would come home from the schoolhouse, and she and our next door neighbor, the wife of our next door neighbor, who was also in the school with us, they'd have like the grill ready, like the grill's hot, the food's prepped and ready to go on the grill. They'd have a cocktail ready for us, and it was like the '60s. It was like the '60s astronaut kind of thing where we're all a bunch of nerds hanging out together in our military duty, in our civilian clothes after work. And we wore civilian clothes throughout our entire career. So it was just a thing, and we'd have discussions about nuclear physics and the Steelers. And
so you got to party like an astronaut. So
you
were sort of an astronaut.
It was fun, and we would do. At some point we had to design a reactor core, use a model of a reactor core in Microsoft Excel, and it wasn't great at doing it. Like, it could do it, but you had to turn off the auto calculate. Like, you wanted, because when you hit calculate, it would sit there for an hour or more, 2 hours, 3 hours. So we would go over early in the morning, hit calculate before class, go to class until lunch, go make some changes at lunch and hit calculate again, and then do class in the afternoon, make some changes, hit calculate, go work out, go have dinner, sometimes have a cocktail, go back down to the lab, after dark, hit calculate so it can run one more time overnight so that you could get 4 or 5 iterations over a day. You had to go back after dinner to get that last iteration and
Yeah.
let it so it could run. Yeah, but that was the best. That was the most fun time ever. The school was hard. It was not easy. One of my classmates told the admiral in the out brief, and it's still a joke amongst our class who were in the room. Any feedback on it? It's like, well, it really wasn't that challenging. And he said, well, Mr. Hanna, did you get a 4.0? Well, no, sir. No, sir. And so the admiral's like, well, then it clearly was challenging enough, right? and he kept going back with the admiral. It's like, well, with all due respect, sir. And all of us are sitting there going, what does he mean with all due respect to the 4-star? Anyway, he said it like 3 or 4 times, and we're just all cringing, like, oh my gosh, this guy clearly can't hear his face moving and the sound coming out, talking to this 4-star admiral. Tell him, with all due respect, sir, your schoolhouse wasn't hard enough. I know I didn't make a 4.0. It's just because I didn't try, kind of thing. It was like, this is going south. But yeah, but it was the best 6 months. And when we came back, my wife's like, look, I can't work in that industry, so I'm going to go back to school. Went back to school to study commercial interior design. She had started out as an architecture student at Mississippi State, went to communications, public relations in her graduate degree, and ended up in the lobbying. Can't do it, and don't have the stomach for it, and because you have to tell the story of the clients whether or not it's the thing you're going to do or not, and so it wasn't her thing. So went back to school and was basically studying from late 2002 until late 2004, where she went into that industry right as she had our first, right as Aiden was born. So I meanwhile started designing and overseeing the construction of the lead ship of the class for Virginia, the Virginia class submarines. So the current attack submarine fleet is primarily Virginia class submarines now.
Okay.
I'm old.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be. Not yet. I mean, I'm old for the military folks. Like the guy that was sitting, I talked to a guy that I served with. His cubicle was right across from mine. He came from the fleet. Like each of the sections that was responsible for ship design.
Right.
Had somebody from the fleet there to help make sure that we understood operations from the operator's perspective. And Dan Patrick. And Dan and I shared all kinds of crazy times. He was literally right there. There's another guy named Keith Morgenstern on the other side of the cube. The three of us, we moved a boat after Hurricane Katrina. We moved a boat for somebody that had lost their home in Mississippi, but had been appointed to a role in D.C. He was going to live on his boat. Yeah. We drove down to South Carolina, picked up the boat, moved it up to Intercoastal. Well, Dan, Keith, and I almost died in the middle of the Chesapeake because whoever's watching this, never let a submariner drive a surface ship. Dan's wife wanted him home early, and she's getting frustrated that we were taking longer than we had planned. And so he's going a little faster than the sea state allowed, and the front of that boat dove into a wave, and we went sideways, and I'm down below, and all of a sudden I'm standing on the port bulkhead, and then the boat catches, and it goes the other way, and I'm flying through the air like doing ninja stuff, and now I'm standing on the starboard bulkhead, and the refrigerator opens up, milk flies out, all kinds of crazy. We survived. I talked to Dan just 2 weeks ago. He's now the CO of Naval Weapons Station Yorktown, and so yeah, when your buddies from then are Navy captains now, and your brother's a lieutenant colonel. There's a lot of ships that we designed that have now been built and are in the fleet. And I actually mentored a lieutenant commander that just left. He left service last year, and he was actually an officer on the USS Virginia, and I was like, okay, I gotta know, like. I know we can't talk about the details, but how was Casualty Procedure 5?
Yeah.
And he's like, what? I was like, well, was it hard or was it easy? And specifically this section about this. And he's like, oh, Yeah, it was hard, but we really appreciated the front matter. Like the description of why it was written that way was really good. And I'm like, okay, cool. I wrote that. And I wrote that with Keith Morgenstern. Keith is now like running the section at Naval Reactors. He's the section head, which is basically a direct report to the admiral.
Yeah.
So that when one buddy is the CEO of Weapons Station Yorktown and the other one is the section head in OAD at Naval Reactors, you're old. At least you're Navy old. Yeah, you're a graybeard. So we designed and built submarines, and that was really cool. And then I shifted over to designing and building aircraft carriers. The latest aircraft carrier that's being fielded, the USS Gerald R. Ford. And actually, while Gary, who did the interview earlier, apparently he's had the news on in the kitchen, and apparently the Ford's out there doing a show of force in the North Sea right now. I'm like, I designed that, so that was that's cool. So yeah, that was my Navy active duty career, was working in an office, wearing civilian clothes, and the idea was you need to be able to tell the 4-star that you think he's wrong. That's an expectation. If you think he's wrong, just like my friend Shane did after the engineering school, we thought he was wrong. Now, I don't think he sufficiently justified it, but that was the point. You tell him, hey, I think you're wrong. Here's why I think you're wrong, and I think this is the right answer. Here's my recommendation based on all of these facts. And that's how nuclear power in the Navy worked, at the headquarters. It helped me because you sometimes see things that you think are going wrong, and you may be the junior person in the room, but you got to be able to stand up and say, hold up, what about this thing? Are you seeing this solution to this thing or are you seeing this problem that could happen from this thing that we think we're going to do? So you think about risk, you think about all these things, and it's helped me professionally the rest of my career, and helped me get some street cred with people that are a generation older than me, but I was working with them because of my Naval Reactors experience. I kind of jumped into the civilian world. Yeah. All of my peers had kids that were older than me, so that was an interesting experience in my next chapter.
There's nothing boring about what you did. That's
yeah,
quite a
no,
story.
not boring, not
Holy
boring.
moly!
Not a lot of bang. There was no time there until some my reserve duty. I got to that happened a couple of years later.
Done your Navy career.
Yeah.
Transitioning to civilian life.
Transition to civilian. So my stepmother was having lunch about political fundraising with someone here in Mississippi that worked for the power company. He was the VP of Government Affairs in the nuclear organization back then. And what do you kids do? Oh, my son builds nuclear reactors for the Navy. So,
I do nuclear power.
You get his resume? We're kind of looking at doing that. So I sent him my resume. Like 30 minutes later, he said, hey, I'm actually coming to D.C. tomorrow. You want to have breakfast at the Willard, which, anything for a free meal, That's, so went and had breakfast with him and with an executive in the division who was slated to run one of the nuclear organizations in the company. And it was an hour and a half kind of discussion. Had to tell my boss, hey, I'm coming in late, which you don't generally do. I'd become a Department of Navy civilian at that point. Mm-hmm. So I'd fulfilled my active duty commitment, become a DOD in civilian, and was continuing the work. I was actually trying to get home, home-ish.
Right.
In 2005, when we were completing my naval service, I don't know where we're going, but we're probably leaving D.C. at some point, but we're never moving home to Mississippi. There's just nothing there for us. Yeah. So as it turns out, there is. After kind of about the same time I was leaving the Jackson area to go off to high school, Entergy had put its formerly Mississippi Power and Light, Louisiana Power and Light, Arkansas Power and Light. They came together and became Entergy, and they had these nuclear plants that they put the nuclear headquarters like 10, 15 minutes from here, about 10 miles as the crow flies from where I grew up in Byram. Right?
Wow.
So I didn't know it was there. So I didn't know there was a nuclear thing to go home to. We were thinking Charlotte. So my in-laws, the ex, moved to Charlotte. Well, I had this interview, and they said, "Hey, come down to Jackson. Let's get you in to meet some folks." And so,
Wow.
flew home in October of '07, and had the opportunity to, I basically they had me set up with 6 different VPs, interviewed with a bunch of them, with all 6 of them, and basically kind of got to pick. I got 3 of them offered me a role. I didn't know at the time what they'd been told is, "Hey, give us, we'll find something, we'll make something, just get him in the door," right? Yeah. And so I went with the new plant organization to go build new nuclear plants, because that's what I'm doing with the Navy.
Wow.
My last Navy stuff that I was working on was they were doing an analysis of alternatives of what the next generation cruiser should be. While we were off, you mentioned the Indianapolis, right? So the same idea, like a big, powerful missile ship. And as it turned out, like our nuclear design kind of won the day of this study, and Congress passed a law that said, "Hey, the next generation nuclear should be nuclear, next generation cruiser." And then the Navy decided, "Hey, we're not going to build cruisers. We don't need a new cruiser. Never mind." But nuclear was fighting an uphill battle, but it won on paper, a Pyrrhic victory, I suppose. So but we came home working on a new plant. That died after about a year because gas prices. Somebody figured out to both frack and directionally drill in the same place, and so they were able to get gas and oil. Oil prices plummeted, gas prices plummeted, which made the economics of a nuclear plant bueno. A new one, no bueno. So I worked in the utility doing large-scale capital projects for most of my career. Did the Grand Gulf Extended Power Uprate, which means we basically took Grand Gulf, which was a pretty big reactor, kind of the biggest reactor of its design, biggest single unit out there. Okay. Added 15% power, but a little more than 15% power, but to it, and like did it all over the course of like 3 years. But all of the real work got done in this one outage that was supposed to be 75 days and supposed to be $575 million project, and that was the early commitments. We got it done for 884 and like 115-day outage, but 115-day outage. And so internal to the company, like we were the dogs. Like we totally jacked this up, spent too much money, took too long. But everybody else in the industry was coming to us going, "How'd y'all do that?" Because we did it in 100-day outage instead of 200-day outages, and on a $1 per kilowatt basis. Like we did it well. So spent a while in the company. Like the point is, it mobilized the company to fix the way we did capital projects, to do it with more rigor. And so I got involved in things like that, like trying to create the process that you actually go execute a capital project well. Big construction things. So did all kinds of things related to capital projects for a while, like oversaw every large capital project. I was on the team that would kind of go in and say, "Hey, do you have the schedule like you need it? Do you have the estimate like you need it? Do you have your scope well defined? Have you done a good job of selecting all your contractors?" And then rather than kind of an audit function, it was like, well, if you don't, like, here's my schedule guru, and he's going to come in and sit down with your team and like get it right. Yeah. And so that we helped the company like do big stuff better. And then I had an opportunity to move back into our nuclear organization, built some similar capability in the nuclear organization. And then I spent the last 3.5 years of my career there leading advanced nuclear efforts before I made the jump to my current company. And the pace of the utility felt a little too slow to me. I missed the days of delivering a reactor or two a year from the Navy, and I wanted to continue that, so I jumped. But along the way, I actually had some more Navy service. This is during the global war on terrorism, and at the time they were sending Navy guys in individual augmentation is what it was called. So there's some billet that was an Army billet, Air Force billet, whatever. There's a billet that needed to be filled, and the Army couldn't fill it because everybody's in the sandbox. And so, hey, Joe Navy, you are the next contestant on The Price is Right. You're going to wherever. And it's like one of my naval reactors buddies who was in the reserves when we were still in D.C. He got called up, went to Baghdad, sat in a compound, living out of a Connex box. And he's like, I just did PowerPoints. Like all I did is sat there and did PowerPoints. Like I didn't do any. It was like non-useful body basically.
Yeah.
He had a story where like he walks off to the chow hall to get some ice cream, and like 30 seconds after he walks out of his thing, a mortar comes in, and like into his Connex.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's like, here's the ice cream, man.
Yeah.
I never got shot at, I guess, except I kind of did. I'm glad I was hungry for the chow hall, for the DFAC, whatever the Army calls it, DFAC. So anyway, they were pulling guys like that who had jobs, because we were in this community. They didn't have a nuclear version of what we did in active duty on the reserves.
Right.
They had a non-nuclear version-ish, engineering duty officer. And so I was doing that in the reserves, and we would send people. They would like save up all of their 2 weeks, 2 days a month, and 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. Yeah. If you look at that, 12 times 2 is 24, plus the 14, you basically get a whole month. So we would sometimes, some people would like run. They would be the project manager for an upcoming destroyer availability.
Yeah.
And meaning like going to the shipyard, getting a bunch of work done. And they would go run that. Well, we had a couple of occasions where in the community they pulled somebody of an IA like a month before an availability. So now you got this person that's done all this planning, it's got to run this availability, and now he's like sitting there doing PowerPoints that anybody could do in Baghdad instead of running this availability for a naval asset that needs to get in the yard, get back in the fleet response, get back in the cycle. So the community says, hey, Navy, DOD, like stop. What we're going to do is we have a solution. When you need one of us, let us know. Let us know what you need. Do you need an 05? Do you need an 0405? Do you need an 030405? Do you need an 0304? Do you just need an 03? Like, what do you need? Like, tell us the rank. Like, if it's an 04 plus or minus 1, just let us know. And so we created we're nerds. We created a random number generator for everybody in the community. Yeah. And then put them in a list and said, hey, based on your number, kind of like a draft number, the lowest number loses, top of the list. And there's an 05 list, there's an 0504 list, there's an 0504 03 list. So I was number 1 on the 0304 list. No, number 1 on the 03 list, number 2 on the 0304 list, and on the 30405 I was number 4. And so that early in 09, the community director who was managing this draft system said, hey, just letting you know, get your affairs in order. You're going somewhere. We're getting way more than 4 a year. Yeah. Like, you're going somewhere this year. Get ready. Okay. Call me back a week later and he said, do you speak Spanish? I said, sí. He said, because you're the highest person on the draft list that speaks Spanish in their profile. Because I was documenting all this stuff for my profile because I don't have this like Top Gun career, right? I write letters, so I was trying to document everything I could in the eventual like selection board process to go get lieutenant commander and stuff. So I had like Spanish level proficiencies for writing, reading, talking, speaking, whatever. And yeah, so he's like, okay, you do not have to say yes to this because this is an 030405 call, you're number 4. You do not have to say yes. But have a 6-month opportunity in Honduras. And he said, you want to call your wife, talk to her about it. He's like, you could just roll the dice, but like most of the calls we're getting are Afghanistan and Iraq. But let me know how long you need. I was like, I'll call you back in less than an hour. So I called my wife and said, hey, I'm going somewhere this year, as you know, because we've been talking about it for the last week, and have an opportunity to go to Honduras instead of the desert. And I think I should take it. She's like, take it. And so said, yep. And that was February, and got my orders, left for Gulfport to get ready, and at the tail end of May, and was in country June, and so I was there most of the rest of '09, and then I had the opportunity to come back home to Norfolk and got assigned with this engineering. It was like this weird command that was Expeditionary Readiness Training Command. They were trying to translate the fleet response plan, which was back to the ship thing. Ships go operate, then they have a stand down, and then they go into the yard, and then they come out of the yard and do workups, deploy,
Okay.
repeat, stand down, yard.
Yeah.
And so that's fleet response. It's this cycle.
Okay.
Well, Seabees don't do that. Seabees like build stuff and train.
Yeah.
SEALs don't do that. SEALs like train, and then they go do the high speed stuff that they train for, and then they come back and they keep training. You don't need to put a SEAL in the shipyard. Right? You don't need to put this whole like kind of brown water expeditionary Navy doesn't need to do that, because like if there's a hole in the boat, plug it. Like that's all what you do. So they were trying to write. They still had to write how they were going to roll into the fleet response. So I got wrapped into that. Spent basically a year in Norfolk. Became a ham radio operator because I found the end of the internet. It was not super exciting work. So my 6-month gig turned into a 1.5-year gig. But at least once I was back in Norfolk, I was able to see the family once a month or so.
Yeah. How'd you like Honduras, the country?
I loved Central America. We didn't get to go out a ton in Honduras for a while, because like a week or so after I got there, a couple weeks after I got there, there was a coup. We called it a coup.
Yeah.
Officially, we didn't think it was a coup because I won't get too political, but the president, their constitution only allowed one term of presidency. Their president wanted to not. He wanted to be the president again. Okay. And he was kind of talking about that, like, hey, we might move the elections, that might remain the president. Like, started talking about being the president longer than he was supposed to. So the Congress unanimously voted to arrest him and exile him, and they did. And the VP took over as president. The VP was leading the presidential race.
Yeah.
And within 48 hours, he announced, like, hey, I'm stepping down out of the race. I can no longer constitutionally I can't get elected to the presidency because now I've been the president. That's right. It's not a coup. Like, it's keeping it from being a banana republic, like with a dictator. I guess it's the opposite of that. It's the most democratic. But they didn't, in their constitution, they didn't have like an impeachment process.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, they just shoot them there.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the fly them into a mountain. But we usually do that with CIA help.
Yeah.
So they didn't have a process, and so the legal eagles up here were like, oh, well, it's a coup because they don't have, it's like, yeah, but they just unanimously voted in their Congress to get rid of the guy. And the guy that took over for him said, we're still having elections, and I'm stepping down out of them. Like, how much more democratic change do you want than that? The bottom line is, though, we had to stop training the locals. We kept doing missions, but we didn't do any more missions in Honduras. So I spent much more time in Costa Rica, El Salvador, Panama.
Yeah.
Didn't have Guatemala. Didn't have the opportunity to go to Belize, so that's still on my list. Touched down in Belize, but I didn't get a passport stamp in Belize.
Okay.
Didn't get a passport stamp in a couple of them, but yeah, beautiful. So I've been to all of the countries, but really got to do work in 6 out of the 7.
Right.
And it was a really cool time. Just loved engaging with. I think El Salvador and Costa Rica are my favorites. Costa Rica, we were out in the middle of nowhere. We were a 3-day walk from the end of the nearest road. We flew in there. Our Green Dragons kind of in this very rural village. They didn't speak Spanish. They spoke this Indio language. So we had to have English to Spanish translators, and then Spanish to India translators for this particular dialect. flew in there, and they don't have any electricity, so they had a fire hut, like a little hut where they keep a fire going, protected from the rain all the time.
Yeah.
So every night they have a fire. They don't have to start a fire. They keep a fire.
Keep it going.
Well, when you bring in a helicopter, yeah,
Oops.
blowing on their fire. I'm like, shut them down, shut them down. Like, sir, we weren't going to shut them down. We're so remote. I'm like, look to your left and shut them down. Like, we're going to burn down their village. Not the result we were looking for. So
Now, you shouldn't speak ill of helicopter pilots in this house.
no, they loved flying with me because I would be the mission commander, and they're our ride, but I love flying. Love flying. Wanted to be a pilot. And so, like on our return trip from Costa Rica, actually, I was like, I really liked the pilot. I got along with the pilots very well on that trip. And I was like, hey, are y'all's tactical training quals up to date? Or do y'all need some time in the tactical training area? Like, sir, they are about to expire. We do need to get over there. It's like, well, we're clear for being passengers here in the tactical training run if you need to. And you're like, all right, everybody's gears locked down. We're like, yeah, we're ready to roll. And so now I give everybody in the back a thumbs up, like it's go time. And so we're headed in. We can see the base, and they just turned and went in the tactical training areas, like flying nap of the earth, flying along like clear and present danger style, like along the creek bed.
Oh yeah.
And I'm loving it. I was getting that particular flight. I was getting to sit in one of the crew chief seats which is basically looks sideways, and so out of the helicopter. So there's some back and front seats in the back, and I'm like right behind the pilots in the crew chief seat. And we're flying, and then the helicopter like banks left, and so it's like sky, and then all of a sudden they go the other way, and you're like looking at the creek, and you're like, wow, that blade looks really close to that creek. And then as he comes up, there's like this is an area that's got a bunch of pine trees and stuff primarily, and I'm like, oh wow, the blade looks really close to that pine tree other than the sky. And so it was the just most fun roller coaster ride I've ever been on. Going fast, going low, and they're legitimately getting training, and I was having just the time of my life.
Yeah.
So I made suggestions like, let's go to the tactical training area. The pilots let me go. But no, it was a good time, fun times. We did counter drug work at night. Arrested a lot of pilots coming out of South America with 3 hours of flight training. So put your tax dollars to use fighting the drug war for a few months. So I think we probably stopped one or two joints, maybe one or two lines of blow. But and we did arrest people, but for the most part, the people we were able to arrest didn't have much choice in the matter. Yeah. We weren't getting the kingpins. We were getting the taxi drivers. So.
Yeah, you're right. This is a dull interview. I mean, you didn't do anything with your...
That was fun, but I mean, I mostly was at the operations center, right? I rarely got to get on a mission. Got to do one. It was cool. Out in Guatemala, that was awesome. And we showed up. We wouldn't even call we had to let the locals know. The local know like before it happened, before we would do a raid, or before we would make an arrest. But you never know who's on the tape. So we were doing this mission in Guatemala and had this all planned out. We've been living on the end of an airstrip and kind of just hanging out so that nobody notices we're there on the end, on the mill ramp, the military ramp of the airstrip, and the international airport. And so it's like go day, and we're basically going to be flying at night, but we're going to be arriving at day because we can't do a day mission. So we got started, but we couldn't get into the area until it's daytime. The idea is basically sunrise, pop over the into the valley, the right valley, and hit this house. Yeah. And when we got there, I wasn't like fast roping or anything. I wasn't a fast mover. I was always in a helicopter or in the operations center. Yeah. But we got there and there was still like hot breakfast on the plate. So the judge or whoever made a call and they just scrambled. There was nobody there, no contact, it was just an empty house. So wow, got some evidence, but didn't get anything of use. And that that story is repeated frequently and started to make me question how we do things in the world.
Yeah. We can look behind the curtain.
Yeah, and like, why we maintain the incentive for them to make a lot of money by moving an illicit product because it's a black market. So I personally have a thesis that a grayer or white market might make a lot of lives in a lot of countries a lot better.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Get that.
But that was. I do miss flying in a helicopter, and I love that. And during the coup, I got to be the range officer, and I was the range officers, and we didn't get to use all of the ammunition to train the local Hondurans, and so the SF team was like coming and getting the range key from me frequently, like on Friday night when I thought they would be at the bar. And so eventually, I'm like, what do you guys do? It's like, well, we got to get rid of all this ammo. Like, come to our hooch. We'll get you kitted up if you want to shoot with us. And so for about a month or so, I was shooting like 1,000 rounds a day. I got to be a really good shot. They're like, so we're gonna make a warrior out of you. I mean, okay, I don't run. Just heads up. But yeah, we were shooting a ton of. I mean, I got really good with a rifle, really good with a pistol. I was already like expert marksman with pistol, but got really good with a rifle. Like door kicking good, but I never had to kick doors.
Yeah. Well,
it was for sure.
Your knee is such it'd be hard to kick doors.
No, it's got a lot of callous scar tissue in there now. You can hit it like a battering ram. No, but I don't want to be in a situation where I have to kick doors. But my son wants to go play with door kickers, and so cool.
Maybe times when you have to be ready for when somebody kicks in your door these days.
He swims a sub 5-minute 500, so he's physically fit in a way that I never was.
Yeah.
He ran cross country, which if there's no alligator behind me, if you see me running, there's wildlife or something behind me that's convincing me these days. I could be forced in the Navy, but not anymore.
According to TC, you'd sleep through it and wouldn't even notice it.
Well, right. I'd probably not show up, so I'd just be asleep. Yeah. So it was a fun career. Again, injured myself while I was serving. Didn't really get to do the thing I thought I was going to do, but best laid plans. How you make God laugh? Tell him you got a plan. and so, but made the best out of it, and really I've had a blast in my career because I hurt my knee.
There's no way you could have written that as a script.
No.
There's no way.
No,
Nobody said, well, do this and then this will happen.
Yeah, and you think, I think like, I'd like to write a book someday, some fiction. I want to write some fiction. My story's not a great fiction. It's like, that's kind of boring. What'd you do? I wrote letters.
Yeah.
And I provided my opinion. That's not the highest action. I guess I'm closer to Jack Ryan. Jack Ryan without any adventure.
There you go.
Just an
I thought about some of those projects you had to work on. I mean, the details. Custer had it easy.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, the projects were so fun. Building ships is awesome. Building the first kind of a ship the first of a kind. You learn so much. Like, you learn thermodynamics actually matters. Like we had this one thing where they made an arrangement where basically the pipes came out of this tank, went up overhead so that you could walk past the pipe without having to step over it, and then came back down. Well, in this abnormal operating condition, turns out the way it was originally designed, part of that pipe turns into steam. And so when you start the pump back up, all that steam collapses, and boom, there's this thing called a water hammer. Yeah. And water hammers can break things really easily. And my rep, who was on the ship when this happened, is like, Dillon, it sounded like there was a shotgun that went off and then a rifle, because this 4-inch pipe water hammered, and then this 1/2-inch pipe crossover water hammered into the check valves. And he was like, it scared the hell out of me. I hit the deck. All because we ran some pipe up in the overhead and didn't put a check valve where we needed to, down low enough. So now we have to design this. It's just stuff you run into. That was Valentine's of 2004 that happened. Yeah. Virginia is for lovers, except not the people working on building it, because it wrecked my Valentine's in 2002 for one reason, in 2003 for another, and then 2004 for the third. Yeah, Elizabeth did not get Valentine's dates while we were working on Virginia.
Just kind of shy away from it.
Yeah, just because some testing issue that we were working on.
Yeah, yeah. Whenever I took Sue to Florida, she got pregnant. So we kind of changed our vacations after that.
Yeah, so it was a fun career, fun Navy career. Not what I expected. Worked out well because I did not fit in well with the Army, by the way. Mm-hmm. We were briefing a mission out, and I was thinking, well, why are we doing that? That seems like, why don't we do this? It seems like to make a lot more logistical sense. And so I have a question.
Yeah.
I asked my question to, like, why are we doing this? Couldn't we do that? And the colonel's like, Alan, we don't need any idea fairies.
Yeah, we don't.
And that hit me right. It's like, what? I mean, and it kind of, it's a cultural difference, right? In the Army, go do what you're told, right? Go do what you're told. Mm. You know, my father-in-law was talking about Hamburger Hill. Like, why are we taking the hill? Well, because we were told to.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, does it make a great sense? No, just go do it.
Yeah.
And in the Navy, it's much more kind of, there's a lot more autonomy. You know, you tell the captain, be there, you're leaving here, leave port today, be in this place by this time.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a lot of autonomy on how you get there. And where, you might make an extra port. If you get there fast enough, you might make an extra port call. You might be at that port early, whatever. CO makes the decision, or the CO of whichever group. If you're moving as a big group, the CO of the carrier group might make the decision. But,
of course.
But there's autonomy, and when something's wrong, you want your officer of the deck you want the person on the helm to tell you, hey, like, whoever's got the con, like, I heard you say left full rudder, but we're going flank speed. Do you
really what?
Did you mean that? Because I mean, the ship will do it, but everybody not buckled down is going for a ride. Like, I mean, it'll do it, but it's going to be hard on the ship and harder on the crew, and everybody in the crew's mess is going to lose all their lunch because nobody's standing by for, like, flank turns.
Yeah.
Let alone all the plates sliding or what?
Yeah, right. That's what I mean. Like, the people generally can grab a hold of stuff, but if you're eating and you aren't expecting the ship to take a roll, like, so you expect, like, I got to con the USS Stout, actually, that my friend was recently the CO of, and I gave an order, and the helmsman questioned it because he thought it was wrong. Mm-hmm. And I explained why. He said, left 5 degrees rudder aye. And he did it immediately, but he challenged. It's like, hey, we're supposed to be behind that ship.
Yeah.
And you're saying to turn, and I don't think that's right. And I said, she's starting to make her turn. She's faster than us. We're going to get back to reset as fast as we can because she's going to outrun us. And she did, but I'd been watching us, like, we were following the USS Enterprise and doing plane guard, which is basically a destroyer that sits back behind,
right,
so that if there's an accident, an aircraft accident, and the aircraft ends up in the water, the destroyer handles it.
Yeah.
The destroyer picks it up so that the carrier can continue flight operations, right? The next plane can land.
Right.
So we're running plane guard, and as soon as I see, every time she's turned, goes around, and then we turn around, like, we're just following her in her wake.
Yeah.
And so she goes flank speed, resets, and we're miles behind by the time it's reset. And so there is no plane guard for the beginning of we're behind the curve. And so as soon as I saw her start to turn, I ordered the rudder to come left so that we could start the reset. Because she comes around, we start turning, and we're actually ahead of her, but then she, like, blows past us.
Yeah.
And we were only like half a mile behind her when she turns, and so we're able to basically slide in and be on plane guard in the right spot at the beginning of the run. I'm like, huh. I mean, I let her a little bit more, right? Because they're like, oh, okay, cool. Like, this nerd knows.
Not bad.
Thought of something. Anyway, but they question, and the Army wasn't designed. They don't operate that way. So at least in my experience with them, they didn't operate that way, and I would not have been well suited in that particular service. I joked I landed in the only place that wouldn't get me court-martialed. I mean, there's places in the Navy that are much more directive,
Yeah.
But again, you do expect the officer corps to recommend. You expect the sailors to recommend, like, hey, I hear you, but if it's not urgent, I hear you. But this thing, do you understand this situation before you give that order? For real? Yes, I understand, and here's.
Yeah, sometimes you don't have time to get out the book and say, what does it say about that?
Yeah.
You got to
right.
make a decision.
There's clearly a time when it's immediate, but there is a lot of back and forth where that's what sailors are good at. They know their shit, and so they tell you. And so that's where we were at Network Reactors, right? We knew our stuff, maybe in much greater detail than the senior leaders knew the thing, and so when they would say something that we felt was wrong, we were expected to tell them.
USS Indianapolis nearly sunk with the atomic bomb on board. They had a new boot at the helm. Officer of the deck or whoever was giving instructions told him to make a course change, but he didn't tell him how many degrees rudder. He says he rolled that ship out. He said we almost rolled over. Captain McVeigh's breakfast went all over the deck, and it was.
I've done high-speed turns on USS Nimitz. So when I was more junior, I got to ride the Nimitz sea trial Alpha sea trials after she refueled, and that's where they do they're going ahead flank, and they're going, and they take it all the way over. And I was up in the O10 level at the very top of the
Conning tower?
the tower, and I mean, you lean over one way and you're looking at the ocean over the flight, like the flight deck's like this, and you're looking down and like it's like, wow, that flight deck's a long way, and it looks like it might hit the ocean. It's not going to, but it looks that way. Like visually, you don't have that depth perception, and then it goes the other way, and now there's nothing between, like, you're here. There's nothing between you and the ocean, and you're like,
Whoops.
this is an interesting place to do this maneuver from. I don't think I'm gonna do the next time. I think I might be like below decks and watch it from.
Yeah, they were in the process of delivering that bomb, so they set the record for a surface ship during that. So they were moving.
Right.
Yeah, they put the full force of it on there.
So anyway, loved my service. Glad I'm not doing it anymore. I'd been having fun in the civilian world for a long time.
Being an energy expert.
Yeah, and it seems to be
having
timely.
experience in that. AI is going to demand this humongous amount of power. How do we take care of that?
I think we're going to build a lot of natural gas plants. I think we're going to build a lot of nuclear plants. We've got to figure out a way to do nuclear in a cost-effective way.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things we do now that we didn't do in the 50s and 60s, and I would question whether or not we are not accepting some level of acceptable risk.
Yeah.
In the way, whether we have over-constrained ourselves here in America, because there are other countries who are successfully executing. The South Koreans successfully executed a string of builds. The Chinese are successfully currently executing a significant number of builds. They build, like the AP1000 plants they put down in Waynesburg, Georgia, southeast of Augusta. We don't put those plants very near cities. You go look at the coast of China where they're building those plants.
Yeah.
They're right by cities. It's easier to get workforce. It's easy, it's less transmission lines to get it to the place where it's needed.
Yeah.
So, and they are executing. And admittedly, they have the benefits of the way they do of their culture and their government model is they can kind of say, go do this thing. So we're kind of waiting on the market to do that, which is challenging for what we're trying to do, right? So
Right.
without some government input, there might not be a market solution. I don't know. I think there are market solutions, especially as you get into smaller scales. But in those broad, large-scale things, I don't know. I don't know if there's a totally free market solution. There was a lot of government input in the early days of nuclear power here in the States. It kind of started as a government thing,
Sure.
and then it
Yeah.
kind of shifted from a government, public-private, and then the private industry said, okay, now we got it. And then a lot of fear from weapons testing kind of got wrapped nuclear power in there with it in the early 70s, and then 3 Mile Island, and we've overregulated ourselves because we're yet to have an issue. 3 Mile Island, the airbag went off.
Yeah.
Right. It totaled the vehicle.
Yeah.
That unit is not usable, but nobody got hurt. So we've continued to ratchet up the requirements, make things cost more, take more time. And I guess my question is, for what?
Yeah.
And that's heretical. Like if I said that in some nuclear conferences, they would just be like, you must leave now. You must leave the tribe. Look at China. What risk is China accepting that we're not?
Yeah.
To get the result that they're getting.
Yeah.
Because they are getting a different result than we're getting.
Two.
So.
Yeah.
I'll leave it. I leave it there.
Two.
Yeah, two.
Personal
fun.
philosophy that's carried you through in life. What would it be?
Try not to be afraid to go try something new. Don't be afraid of novelty. I mean, it's new, different change is scary to a lot of people, and I love change. I'm okay doing the same thing if it has to get done in a way, but just never be afraid. Never afraid to look at something, see if you can do it better, and change. And I always say I'll jump off a cliff and figure out how to sew the parachute on the way down out of my t-shirt. So like let's just go for it. Go for it. And in personal relationship, and that's how my wife. That's how I ended up being with my wife. Go for it. And in your career, just go for it. That's
Okay.
yeah.
Well, Lieutenant Allen, thank you for this interview.
Absolutely enjoyed it.
And you chose your father-in-law well. Oh, this is great. Thanks for
Okay.
setting up all of this.
Absolutely.
We done?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right.